used to work the overnight shift at a small hotel just off the highway. It wasn't anything big, it was just like mostly truckers that would come through and people passing through the town. One night around 3 a.m., a man came in asking to have a room. He didn't have a reservation yet, that wasn't super unusual, but he refused to show his ID and he just kept telling me that he was already in the system. I told him I wasn't allowed to give him a key without an ID, and he just kind of slowly smiled and he said, "That's okay, I'll just go back to my room," and he walked down the hallway. So I checked the system after he left one more time, and there was no room assigned under his name. There was no reservation for him. A few minutes later, the elevator dings, the same man comes walking out, and he brings me the room key saying, "Here's my key," and I said, "What room does this belong to, sir?" And he said, "The room that never gets cleaned." Before I could even add anything up in my brain, he got back in the elevator and went back up, and so I had security go and check every single floor, and every single room was assigned except for one, and it was room 417. Housekeeping had it marked "Do not enter" because guests would hear noises and things shifting in the bedroom, and so eventually we just closed it and didn't let anybody occupy the room. When security opened the door, the room was completely empty. There was no luggage, no personal items. The only thing that was on was the TV, and it was playing static. At 6 a.m., my replacement came to take over my shift, and they could tell that I looked a little bit shaken up, and they asked what happened, and I let them know what kind of happened throughout the night, and they just kind of stared at me, and they were like, "Room 417's key card hasn't worked in the door since the fire." And I was like, "What fire?" She looked at me and she said, "The one where the man passed away overnight during the fire." It was during my shift. I was there when it happened. Anyways, long story short, I wound up quitting that same week because I just kept getting the creeps every time I was in the hotel. And sometimes when I still pass along the hotel, I see room 417's light still on.